we face a very strong conflict, and that is smoking. For years, the people of North Lawndale have spent so much money on cigarettes. That's money they pay for an addiction to nicotine. It sometimes can get very hard to quit. It's like they say, one time and you're hooked. I've never smoked a cigarette, but I can help tell the story of someone who has.
I've been smoking since I was like 13 years old. I stopped for a minute, and it's just something I do. It ain't nothing that you really have to have. It's just something I just do to just do it.
And I'd have to say probably 3/4 of the patients I see, it's usually stress. Something stressful happened and they couldn't cope, they said, unless they had a cigarette. And
Well, it's not hard for me to quit, but some people say they have been doing it for so long, and it's hard for them to get off of because they have to have it, but I don't have to have it. I just do it to do it, but if I want to quit, I can quit. Like, I can go without days without smoking, so.
a woman I just have been treating in the past few months. So she is a real estate agent and does very well professionally. And when she was 16, she had an alcohol and drug problem. And so her family got her treatment. And so she's in her late 30s now. So she's been in recovery from alcohol, cocaine, drugs for 20 years. But she can't stop smoking. So she's been smoking that whole time. She's run a marathon, still smoke. The minute after the marathon was over, she picked up cigarettes within a week. Yeah, it's a very powerful addiction for her. And so it's not so easy. Someone's like, you quit alcohol and drugs, but what about smoking? And she was very embarrassed by it. So she came in and we set up a quit date and we talked about techniques. We talked about if a medication in addition to the counseling would be helpful. And so she chose this medication called Wellbutrin. For smokers, it's called Zyban. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she already had the prescription from her doctor. So we decided to do that. But in addition to that, because she's so addicted to nicotine, she will go out on her balcony within 15 minutes of waking up to have her first cigarette. And that probably tells us she's highly physically dependent on nicotine. We decided that the nicotine lozenge would be something that she would use when she had a craving or use it in addition to the Wellbutrin. And so we worked on a lot of techniques of the stressors and the things that trigger her to want to smoke. And we set up a quit date and she attended all her sessions, did beautiful. She quit on March 17th and continue. We have as many, we're going to meet for a year. So she did weekly sessions until a few weeks ago. And now we're going to meet once a month to just check in to make sure she's not getting off track. So I thought it was a really interesting case of hardcore drugs. She was able to kick them as a teenager, but not smoking. But and she's so happy that she's not smoking right now, and really delighted. So that's a great case. Community involvement is really important. So I think it probably starts in the home with, parents. If they smoke, they need to quit and not have that role model. So I think the parents and the teachers, everyone's setting forth the good example and educating, the next generation.